Welcome back to Brussels and our semifinal series between SKT and Origen. As we speak, SKT is setting up for Game 3, and it's do or die for Origen. First thing we have to address, of course, is the substitution of FLICKR back into the mid lane. As Origen has been unable to beat EasyHoon yet, they're now being thrown yet another curveball in their fight to stay alive in the series.
Yeah, so I actually feel like FLICKR's more of a fastball in this instance. I'm going to make a baseball analogy. EasyHoon is the guy who throws a bunch of junk, barely throws over 90 miles an hour, curveballs, change-ups, sinkers, and now FLICKR's going to come in and throw 101 miles per hour. The adjustment instantly for Pekka in that lane could prove incredibly difficult, and there's a chance that this completely closes the series.
So I'm going to make a Princess Bride reference.
Oh, dear Lord.
So you know that scene in The Princess Bride where Inigo Montoya and the Dread Pirates Robert are fencing, and they're both fencing left-handed, and then he switches over and says, "I'm not left-handed," and he switches to his right hand. Well, unfortunately for Origen, they actually are left-handed, so now it's even more imbalanced, and it goes the other way, and the Dread Pirate Roberts gets stabbed and dies.
Oh.
I just feel really scared for Pekka.
A pleasant thought, Monty.
But this is Origen on purple side, and they're going to blind pick mid into FLICKR. This is why I liked FLICKR in this matchup, is because now Pekka is playing all these immobile mids, all these scaling mids, and he's blind picking them into FLICKR. So they have to either change their pick and ban to where Pekka is last pick, or I'm terrified.
Yeah, so you think that there's a distinct possibility they will change their pick ban strategy so that Pekka gets that final shot?
Well, what Origen's done is they didn't really adapt to the top lane meta that's been coming out. So I doubt that they'll be fast enough to adapt to this, where they need to be last pick in their mid lane. So no, I don't think they will change pick and ban, but I think that would be preferable for
Yeah, I do have to point out, though, how close the first two games were up until the dive that Origen failed in the top lane. The first game was Origen's pace. They had a chance to win. Even 20 minutes into last game, they had a chance to win. They need to keep their mindset right. They cannot get tilted by the appearance of FLICKR, and they need to realize that they came to play.
True, but you just mentioned that FLICKR's going to come in as 101 mile per hour fastball. So how does that change the dynamic of the early game? Because they've been allotted the time to stay even with SKT playing a more farm-centric game. With FLICKR in the mix, that might not be the case.
It probably won't be, in fact, especially because FLICKR, he has such a staggering champion pool that... Let me just ask probably a question. You had to prepare for SKT in groups. How did you prepare against FLICKR?
Well, it was Ryu, so I know he would win, so it didn't matter. I pretty much said, Ryu, pick what you want to beat FLICKR with, and that's how it went. But if I was in those shoes, I'd be terrified, because I'm like, yeah, I get to maybe play against Olaf mid, or Aurelia mid, or Dom Kench mid. I can play against anything. This is a really, really crappy situation to be in when you don't get to counterpick your mid.
Well, I mean, Origen is on the red side, so they have the opportunity to counterpick the mid.
But they haven't.
They haven't. That's the thing. Here's the thing they might change if they're thinking, if they get a power pick for Soaz in the top lane, if he goes early Fiora or Darius, then they can actually save that last draft choice. And I don't even think they're going to get much value out of the counter pick, looking at his champion pool, because it's a Nivea or Oriana. But if they last pick mid, do I get the box you're standing on for this segment?
No, you don't get
so your argument, though, is that since they haven't been playing well in the top lane meta so far, right, they wouldn't necessarily take a power pick for Soaz so early?
Well, they did get the Fiora into Renekton, which I think is great to pressure the Renekton early, because eventually Fiora is going to be better than Renekton. They didn't do any of that. So why would they just start swapping that up and do that now? I don't think they know how to play around the top lane correctly. So I think what Origen needs to be doing is get the early game over. I think their early game standard is pretty poor. Amazing hasn't been getting lucrative ganks off. They're pretty wonky and nothing happens. So I think they need to do fast push, get turrets down quickly, and leave Soaz the turret gold. Leave him in the lane that's freezing towards them, and stop giving everything to Niels, because they're going to play around Niels just naturally. They don't need to force it through 2v1s.
You're of the opinion that the team should abandon the strategy that has carried them mostly to this point?
Yeah, I'm just not the biggest fan of it yet.
It's different. I want to see them, and this is obviously they can do whatever they want to do. I want to see them kind of cut their losses as much as they can with Soaz. Put him on a champion he is comfortable with. I hope they force SKT into a choice. Hope to get Lulu through if they can give them Gangplank or Mordekaiser. Just leave them up there and then play around their bottom lane. Even go harder into the strategy that almost worked in games 1 and 2.
Yeah, that would be my curiosity. If you saw something like a Malphite go into the top lane, Orion in the mid, or the Lulu, as you mentioned, which could be left up, and funnel all of their resources into Niels and see how that manifests either on Tristana or Kalista.
The only thing is, Malphite would be their only option. So say that is their plan, is they give this Malphite something that you could just leave up there as a rock. That means you have to abuse the level 6 TP bot, force that 3v3, because Malphite's going to win every 3v3 bot. And then it means if you win this game, game 4, they're not going to let you have Malphite anymore, because they know your strategy. So I don't think this is something that they can actually reuse without it just being banned out instantly.
I think the final thing to kind of hit is what they can do regardless, outside of picks, right, in terms of their actual play and their shot calling, because we have seen Origen a couple times in this tournament make fantastic Baron calls, which put them ahead in games. They did that in game 1, they didn't close it out. But where can they look to make really decisive calls that might throw SKT off of their traditional and very methodical play style?
I think it's hard to say that until we see the picks in ban phase, because depending on what FLICKR plays, they could play very differently. If he's playing a low wave clear champion, that answer may be that question that, okay, we can start really putting emphasis on that mid lane, push, 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 try and play for towers with the Tristana, with the fast push like we saw them doing in the first game of the series. So I think it's hard to say that until we know exactly what they're playing.
Right. We are giving FLICKR a little bit more time to get ready on stage, as he's had to make the substitution. Another curiosity or thought would be, as you mentioned again, leaving some of those larger power picks open. If Tahm Kench, Mordekaiser, GP, Lulu, all of a sudden we see a team decide in their possible final game here to leave everything up and really play the game of trading the power picks, how does that work out?
The unfortunate thing is SKT can block it, as they did in game 1 when Origen decided to ban out junglers on one side. But if it didn't, I would like to think you first pick Gangplank, because he is the unanimous #1 pick amongst most professional teams. And then you trade that for something like Mordekaiser and X. Hopefully that's Tahm Kench or Lulu. If Origen wants to win, it has to be.
All right, well, that's about all of the possibilities that could happen in Champions Life. Let's send it over to Freak, Kobe, and Crepo in the caster booth for the play-by-play.
Thank you very much, Dash. And yes, we are getting ourselves ready to get into this matchup here. FLICKR is in for game 3. We've seen it happen before when the team is down 0-2, and like, FLICKR, come in and save us. Now they're up 0-2, like, FLICKR, send us into the World Finals. Like, and you know, I wonder if it's
just deciding on Origen's fate. It's like, yeah. No.
I mean, yeah. What if FLICKR like actually tanks somehow? He's like, he's got to go back in.
FLICKR,
like
FLICKR, Marin, hello.
Yeah, no, obviously Marin's the big one.
Marin is
They didn't bring Marin a sub. They didn't need one.
I think Marin is like the best top laner in the world right now.
Oh, really? Wow, that's amazing.
Wow.
I
This guy
want to go into
making
some
the bold
history.
predictions.
Yeah, we're going to go into some history here, because Marin has had a long road to this point.
Okay.
When he came out of solo queue, they picked him up because he was supposed to be the top lane FLICKR. He was the solo queue star. This guy is a shot caller now. This guy does everything. He used to have this weird thing where he would buy home guards really early, and everyone was like, well, I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon. But he gets so much of an experience advantage from it. He gets so much map control, and he's able to early buy these Tiamats like every game, so he can instantly clear waves. He just constantly builds up this slow lead over the opponent, and then eventually, oh, you get to 25 minutes, and he's 3 levels up on your top laner.
Yeah, he just has this annoying like mannerism of just always getting ahead. The first time Marin popped on a lot of people's radar is just, when he started getting known for having the second highest GPM in like LCK as a top laner in a very lane swap oriented meta where half the games he wouldn't even be starting in normal lanes, but he had this play style of teleporting early back to the lane, playing around, that advantage mostly on Maokai, just spamming saplings, breaking the conventional lane swap meta back in Korea. So,
and you can't ban him out either. I mean, you're going to ban away Fiora. Well, he doesn't really care. He's going to play Renekton. He's going to play.
Well, that's the thing, though, is I don't feel like Origen have tested him properly, right? Like, coming in, he's a really, really good Fiora player. And they thought, okay, we think Kennen's the counter pick is going to work. And they tried that. That didn't work. Okay, Origen tried, let's steal the Fiora. So let's make him play Renekton. That didn't work.
You can't just pick one champion and then be like, okay, that's going to work. You have to focus around top lane.
And they tried that last game. Renekton was 0-2. And then it broke apart anyway, right? Like, no matter all these things that Origen keeps trying to hold down Marin, Marin perseveres.
See what they can do this game. Origen backs against the walls. They need to make this one count.
I think we need to see the Gangplank here. And just kill FLICKR. Plain and simple. We kill the FLICKR, and then we move on.
Down 0-2.
They've got the support. They need a rally now. I've seen my fair share of reverse sweeps.
You guys are experts on this matter. I don't know anything about reverse sweeps whatsoever. Never experienced
I feel the
one.
Cloud9 vibe flowing through Origen right now.
High rips off his jersey. Fills in for XPeke.
I like the Kench ban.
Loses the
Alright,
game
So
anyways.
Rek'Sai, Mordekaiser,
GP both up.
Gangplank.
Yeah, SKT banning out Mordekaiser. This is what we've seen very often. 2 target bans.
Saying,
One
you
up
wanna
B
give us
away.
GP?
We'll take Gangplank.
So they give him Rek'Sai. So the pick and ban start very similar to how they did over in game 1, but this time around Origen doesn't have those target bans against champs like Azir they had before, so those champs are up for the second round for SKT. It's not a great champion for XPeke. Meanwhile, the Tahm Kench that went early first round, that one's gone now.
Now looking at Amazing's choices for jungle though, it is pretty difficult because Evelyn has been his next go-to, but Evelyn into Rek'Sai is so annoying because of Tremor Sense. You lose out on a lot of the advantages that she does bring towards the mid game and the late game, trying to move around for flanks. You can almost never get a flank off. You can almost never get the surprise off.
I like what Origen's hovering right here, picking the Lulu, which you need to. You can't afford not to. This is one of the compositions they actually did the best on protecting Niels. It also fits well into, you can let Lulu slightly lose against Martin in the top lane. You steal away the Alistar, and the Tahm Kench is already banned. So pressure on SKT, and more importantly, you hide your jungler until the next rotation, and maybe you can get something nice out of there.
Niels has been such a huge star for this team. I like what Origen is doing. Like you said, playing around him, getting Lulu to buff him up. Put all their eggs in that basket and see if Niels can outplay.
And as the analyst has mentioned, counter-picking against FLICKR. This Lulu is a flex, so Origen can wait to that last spot to realize, does it go to SOAS? Does it go to XPeke? And making sure these matchups look correct here. Origen can pick jungle and AD carry next. SKT looking to steal away that Tristana, and with Tahm Kench gone, right back to Shen.
2 global moves already for SKT. So Origen, when you have a Lulu on your team, you want to group up, you want to get the team fight, you want to be able to buff up the other members of your team and go for the 5-on-5 team fight. SKT already have multiple tools to move around the map and try and continue to play with multiple points of pressure.
And they steal away the Tristana, which means usually a team that runs a Lulu composition against a AD carry, hyper carry, ends up opting in for the Jinx. And they already have really good answers to that, you know, with the Taunt Flash, with the Burrows. So maybe Origen will have to stray from the strategy and try something else.
Yeah, plus if they are pulling Origen around the map, Tristana will quickly take down those turrets, and SKT will look to rake in that money.
I want to see Lee Sin come out of Amazing. Just get some forward pressure, some engage, some creative gank paths, because you can go over walls and surprise your enemy, because so far, every single time Bengi has been reading Amazing overall, he's not been able to find any ganks. SKT has been doing well, dodging most of them, and the most of the ganks that works is when he goes over the walls and surprises people with his pathing.
And Origen gonna go ahead and stack up some wave clear. Lulu in the solo lane, Sivir off onto one of the sides. The Lee Sin does come through here. So Origen hoping to withstand the early pressure, but their late game is really not here right now. I don't know what they're gonna pick up to make that all work.
I don't think you even draft an insurance policy for late game. I think you go all in for mid game for Origen. Try and hit that mid-game spike of 2 items, Sivir, buffed up with Lulu. Go for the playmaking with Alistar and Lee Sin.
I think we'll see Lulu mid and maybe a Darius or Fiora top lane here. Overall here coming out of SOAS in the end. Just trying to snowball top lane, play wave clear, because you only played it, if you lock in double wave clear mid and bot, generally indicates that you want to get a top lane carry out of there.
Oh, well, you said maybe cash in on early mid-game leads, but Rumble is one of the kings of early game. From that top side, winning team fights whenever you want with Equalizer, but it is offset by FLICKR, having a hard scaling Ryze.
Ryze can also be dove by Alistar fairly early on. Ryze is fairly squishy, doesn't have any dashes either, so if the bottom lane can make some sort of play, I mean, on these 2 champions, it was Amazing and Mythy who were able to come up with solo kills versus NL.
So a whimsied Lee Sin or a whimsied Alistar, certainly good ways to get a fight started if that is indeed mid lane Lulu here. The hovers now for Origen. They know SOAS up against Marn. And finally, it's a matchup that I think Origen can come into and think they can win the one-on-one. Rumble not known for his 1v1. The 1-4 sort of setup for SKT, not as good with Rumble here. So Origen, can they break the map open?
Yeah, they need to break the mold though, because right now they're opting into a composition that requires them to play around the top side. And every single game, they kind of default back into the play around Neil style. Even if they briefly play around SOAS for a while, they really need to get that snowball going. SOAS now with the Gnar pick, picking for a phenomenal split push lane. One of the strongest split pushers in the game because he can really control the distance he keeps his enemies at.
Also a decent team fighter though, of course, Mega Gnar. So a well-rounded pick for SOAS here in Origen. Have some playmaking. They have a lot of gank pressure from a lot of these different lanes, a lot of movement speed. And then it can come together into the 5-on-5. SKT though, have such a suite of powerful champions. The damage output here from Rumble, Ryze, Trist is a lot.
Pretty long curve though. They have a really big spike early with the Rumble level 6, but if you thwart that Rumble and you can keep him down in the lane, then SKT become very late game focused in their composition, and we may see a different Origen proactive in the mid game. Get an advantage, especially Amazing on that Lee Sin again.
That's definitely going to be the key point for Origen. Can Amazing create some early game action with Lee Sin? Bengi will be lurking around with Tremor Sense, so they have a wide area to look for Amazing's position and set up for counter ganks. So you have to be very careful when playing against Rek'Sai, especially in the mid game where she gets an advantage with her ultimate, getting right back out onto the map.
There's this tiny window where Lee Sin hits level 6 and the support is sitting on level 4 or 5, especially if Wolf is playing Shen. That's when Amazing has to strike, get a gank behind, kick somebody in the lane before Stand United becomes available, and then try and snowball on that
Snowball
advantage.
the Sivir lane.
We'll see if the Sivir lane can be snowballed, and if you guys at home think it's going to happen, if you think the ganks can originate from Amazing, then tweet #OG win. Or if SKT makes it 12-0 and heads into their second final here at the World Championship, it's #SKT win. Here we go, everybody. Game 3 here in Brussels. Who's going to the final?
I am.
Me too.
You coming, Kobe?
I mean, both of these teams could very well go.
Who's playing in the final? None of us. The home
Crowd says Origen.
Crowd would like it to be the case.
Or RET or Eskigen is going to win this game, according to the crowd.
Neil says Origen.
All right, I want to see this. I want to see SKT make the same mistake, so at least we see it once. Don't want to see it punished where they leave their top side Gromp double jungle exposed to a delayed invade. So at least next to be like, I'm right. Because early ward came out here, I believe from Marin in the top lane.
SKT showing a few different things. Niels does get the reset. Well played. But when that second one comes down, that will reveal if there's a Gromp start. Sivir, Alistair, one of the very worst duos at taking Gromp. We'll see if that ends up being their start here. Every game has actually started with Origen having a very good level 1, whether a first blood or a 3 buff in the same game actually, or just being on the right side of the map at the start. SKT looks to not be allowing that this time around. So as an Amazing going to be double jungling their red buff, or maybe the Krugs.
SKT looking to stop the Gromp
Looking to stop, but they're going to walk into a ward. That's risky. They have no trinket ward available anymore. And again, look at the river where SKT is doing that Gromp right now. They technically could get delayed invaded upon by Amazing, and so as here. Go for a kill, get the Gromp away. So they're somewhat greedy in the trinket usage.
I do like what Niels and Mithy did there. Just even though they knew there was a ward on Gromp, they just stayed around it so that Bang and Wolf couldn't go grab a small minion somewhere else. And it's going to be even lanes, standard setup here. Taunt does miss.
Wow. But already Bang getting a giant chunk out of Niels. Stun doesn't mean a whole lot against Chen, who can heal himself.
But they're fighting an Origen minion wave here. The Origen caster minions were attacking SKT members.
This is one of the reasons.
Lightly got ahead there.
One of the reasons that you want the Shen to not do a camp and just stop them so you can skill taunt early instead of the Q and just go for aggressive trades. As long as you trade on the AD carry, you're always in favor. Obviously, taunt doesn't connect, and then they really use the minions well in their advantage on Origen side, but they're still being zoned off here.
Level 2 first. Bang doing a great job of pushing in already. Rocket Jump has been skilled. Meanwhile, Marin versus Soaz up in the top lane. Soaz already level 2, but only with 3 CS.
Oh, didn't get it. No hyper.
No hop. Nothing gained up. Niels and Mithy find level 2. Really learn heal. Looks like he learned headbutt instead, because no heals are coming out of Mithy right now.
Probably is hovering on the point. Miffy likes keeping
Yeah,
that
he's
point
hovering
hovered until somebody expects you to take heal. You see Bang and Wolf, they will play with respect up until the point they see the first heal come out. And now they just want to poke down. Miffy did get a surprise kill on Alistar before, skilling a random headbutt there on level 2.
Bengi is also slightly ahead of Amazing as far as camps, and he's going to end up bottom, whereas Amazing is going top side. So Amazing is going to go with top lane focus this time around.
And they ping the ward.
They ping the ward.
Amazing knows where the vision is, but the question is how much can you really have happen?
He has Trinket Ward available, so he can pull a Safeguard Trinket Ward.
So as jumps in, lands a
giving it
swell,
away.
Really early, though.
and nothing happens at all. Marin playing with proper respect and knowing Bengi's on the bot side.
He knows something is up right now. He knows his jungler is in the bottom side of the map. They can roughly deduce where Amazing started, and more importantly, never will Gnar randomly hop in front of you in that lane. It's a sick mind game if it works, but there's no other place on the map either where Amazing could gank. That's the problem right now for
Especially in a matchup like Gnar versus Rumble, which is so swingy. It's very snowbally. If you do get behind and Gnar can get to the Hex Drinker early, then you can punish. Otherwise,
Wolf with some Fog of War play, leaving Bang 1v2 in the lane, just imitating a roam here, just putting some pressure. You don't necessarily see what that causes, but that causes Pickett to just play slightly more passive in the mid lane whenever that gets called, until he shows back into the lane.
And look at Bengi.
is going to turn mini and have to play very safe now.
Beautiful by him. Slow's not quite going to land for Marin, but Bengi can look for the knockup. Will he burn flash for it? Yes, he will! And that's first blood just like that for SKT.
As soon as you get smited with the Chilling Smite, you got a flash there for Soaz.
And Bengi just tells Marin to hang on, waits a little, drops a pink ward immediately, knows he's not spotted, knows he can go for that play. And then you can see the player cam already on Soaz there, just almost face palming, so like not going too great. Now he has to use his teleport to get back to the lane, and that initial gank from Amazing was so important. It had to stick or do some pressure at least.
Amazing, meanwhile, trying to counter jungle on the bottom side, but he will get spotted out by FLICKR.
Just used his ward too.
Okay, Ghost Pop FLICKR takes the Q. Peke's nearby. Could use help pick some Glitterlands to do some damage. FLICKR loses Ghost for nothing. Turns out all right for Amazing, but Bengi's slinking around to the side. He's gonna know Amazing is right there fighting the Raptors. Of course, Bengi is flashless, but FLICKR's in range. Good ward hop, Amazing's okay. Bookkeeping right now, but it's a small lead for SKT. The first blood putting them ahead. Nice taunt onto Miffy. Good chunk of damage here.
And contrary back, not into a full minion wave. Neil's getting some mana here for wave clear. Now look at the base though. If you see 47 CS on Niels, that means one more wave and then he can get a BF sword. That's why they're just taking some damage, just trying to push it as aggressively as they can.
Yeah, he wants that cannon.
Yeah.
Got it.
55 CS is the mark of a BF sword.
Look at Bengi though, he's circling down around bottom side now. Another short taunt.
Ooh, good chunk on a Bang though. Of course, he's gonna recall himself pretty soon. Bang's only one wave away from getting it.
Gotta be careful. I mean, going for these greedy trades or just trying to poke Niels low enough for him to stay, that can turn into a 2v3 really quickly.
It's actually a fairly risky invade there for Bengi. I don't think they saw Amazing up top side again. But he is able to get off the prompt counter jungle there.
And Bengi's really just running circles around Amazing. This is at least his second Scuttle Crab kill. He's already got a first blood and is still tied in farm right there. So great play by Bengi so far.
Look at your minimap. Niels wanted to get one more wave because he didn't want to sit on a single BF versus BF. He wanted to push one more wave in the bottom, but Wolf pathed into the bot lane, cancelled Niels' base, and now Niels is behind on the play, even though Origen bot lane were winning 2v2, so really good cancel there from Wolf.
Could mean a lot of tower damage with Tristana coming back with her BF sword.
And Mithy already leaving too. He's going to support Expected. Probably wants to drop a couple of wards there on either side.
So I was looking for the play though. He's close to Mega Gnar, is level 6 as well. Marin just takes a chunk of damage. Now there is a difference in potions. Bang has 1 to the roughly 4 of Niels. That might not mean much though.
OG's looking for a top lane dive. Mithy's pathing all the way to the top lane with no boots whatsoever. Sitting on Sidestone. Went from bottom lane all the way to top try right now. They're looking to counter gank. This could be big.
And the Mega Gnar is traded with the Equalizer. The wave goes away and Bengi's already coming. So as Does not have to worry about Bengi's flash
got
just
flash.
yet. Nice flash to stay alive, and now here's the team. Soaz will survive this. Now who's gonna get picked off? Amazing down to half. A great flash by Marin. A pulverize will land into Bengi. The smite as well. There's not a lot of moves to be made, and Amazing lands it. A resonating strike for a kill. Game back to tie.
Down bottom, let's see if Niels can handle himself alone. SKT know that he is by himself.
Marin
He
has
has to clear this
teleport.
wave.
He can't let the wave get into the tower.
He has to clear this here, and he's gonna allow
He's
it to
trapped.
push forward. And now Wolf can walk in. There is a minion wave. How good is his spell shield against the taunt? There's enough that nothing happens.
All right, Niels is able to pull it off.
And this is mostly because FLICKR is running Ghost Flash, so the teleport that Peke has, he could have done that. He couldn't get cancelled. FLICKR was not in range, so the teleport from Marin could be matched there by Peke, and here we see Amazing. Level 6.
Looks for the play, won't quite find Marin. And as I think about that play on the bottom side, I think it was Wolf trying to force Peke's TP, trying to scare Niels, saying, I need someone, I need someone. But everyone properly reserved, no big pickups there.
But that move, so much invested into that move. If Miffy didn't get any assist there, it would have cost them so much. But he arrived right in time. He actually read beautifully what SKT was setting up. So Origen with, really good shot call there. Having the support Wolf from bot to top with no boots, that is a ballsy call.
It's definitely bold, but as Alistair, it pays off.
So
Kind of jumping for Bengi though.
Soaz is also earning himself a CS lead now in the top lane while he's pushing this minion wave. But Marin's got a big wave that he can pull back pretty soon here.
We're going to see Bengi just running away, going, of course, for the standard Cinder Hulk on that Rex side, but Amazing really trying to make the early game work. We talked about how they can't wait for Ryze to come online, so a Warrior Enchant Lee Sin.
Yeah, and then on top of that, Soaz actually parting from the traditional Gnar builds that we've seen so far, mostly because they haven't played into any Rumbles. Usually early Frozen Mallet, early Black Cleaver, but Soaz going for a Hexdrinker, avoiding that all-in for Marin, and then having enough damage to kill him afterwards. So
Yeah, Hexdrinker is crucial in
Yeah.
this matchup. Got to get some magic resist versus the spell penetration early Rumble there.
Marin's just rushing for that Leandri's Torment, though. Blasting Wand already there, has First Blood, has 72 CS. This is a very scary Rumble.
yeah, Origen just opting into more power to skipping the Aver's Blade just to get another pickaxe, more trading potential, so they want to put pressure on these matchups. Hopefully
Get
put enough
seen.
pressure that they can break. Bengi though,
He got pinged out. They did see him. Soaz has to be careful here going for that ward.
Bengi will clear off the ward, takes a chunk of health, and he's got to be careful. The Dawkins Zone's come through.
that's a lot
Pop
of
by
damage.
Soaz takes a lot of pain for that. Nearly popped the Hexdrinker. If that did get popped, that cooldown could have meant to dive. But I think the shield will be enough to deter SKT for now. Of course, Marin does have the ultimate.
And Origen can't afford to go top again because Shen can always match their gank, so they really want to gank the Shen lane first, take that tower at least, force the ulti perhaps, get something done there. Meanwhile in the middle, FLICKR has been starting to push and expect it on that Ryze. He's uncontested, went to 94 CS, Bang gets comboed, should be fine.
That's a missed time, though. Of course, Niels had just used Q to clear the wave. If the communication was there, that's 300 free damage on a Bang.
Meanwhile, deep wards. SKT have been able to sneak them in on both sides. We just took a look at Bengi as he went over the back of Baron Pit. Bottom side was also warded up.
Yeah, if your jungle is compromised, you may as well move your jungle straight into the lane and deny Bang the opportunity to push this wave. That's what Amazing's doing right now.
They're gonna look for it. Nice buster shot to buy some time away from Amazing with a flash into the kick, into the Q. Wolf goes down. Well played. Summoner Heal keeps Amazing alive. And 2 kills now for Origen.
Love watching the original Lee Sin players. Junglers who have been playing this champion for so long. No hesitation there. Kicks him right into the wall for the stun. And Origen pick up another kill to even up the gold lead.
Meanwhile, one-on-one in the mid lane. FLICKR getting plenty of damage out. Flashes for the follow. Looks for Pekka. Can't quite get the damage. But it is plenty dealt right now. FLICKR shoving the wave in.
Peke should be able to wave clear.
And another play to be made up at the top side. Rek'Sai already ulted down to the bot, so now it's the Shen ult to save Marin, but plenty of slows come through. A great dodge on the equalizer. Soaz trying to get away, will be taunted, is burning down, taking plenty of pain. 500 health still up, walks away safe.
Great solo play there by Soaz to take down a long cooldown from SKT.
And the team is still coming though.
His team's coming, but Soaz really, really well played. Still had Hexdrinker available to avoid that
They're going for the
barbecue there in
dive,
the top
too.
lane. Trying to turn that around. Wolf's still stuck.
Oh, Peke just used his teleport mid.
And he's going to push in mid and deny some waves from FLICKR. If FLICKR walks top, though, he's going to lose a ton of gold out of the mid lane, so he's going to go back to that one. FLICKR safe enough wave clearing this.
Peg has to be careful. This is a point where he's died a lot when his team is making a 3-man play on the top lane for a dive or a push, and he overextends just a slight, tiny bit to push that mid lane.
He should be hovering on the top side of the map because they just got deep wards in on SKT's blue side.
So they spot a lot of people. Bengi's noticed, but he sees Mithy.
SKT could actually opt for a dragon play too. Marin, once he gets level 11 on Rumble with Liandry's finished already, such a potent carry in dragon fights, especially with that rank 2 ultimate there on the equalizer.
Still some threat in the bottom lane. Wolf spotted. Here comes Bengi. Here comes Bang. Oh, the flash knockup. Niels ults and flashes out. Now Mithy's caught, but pops his own ultimate to stay alive. And all is well for the Origen duo lane. Bengi's time not rewarded.
Amazing is on bottom side as well. Maybe SKT try and force the dragon anyway. You can see what they're hoping for there. They try and go for the gank to gain advantage in the lane, at least chunk down the duo lane. But Origen actually very healthy and we're able to avoid that gank pretty well.
FLICKR starting to flex though in this lane. Tyr and Radovac is both done, and they're stacking up, and he's already starting to win some fights. Now Wolf getting attacked. Great kick, great knockup, beautiful play by Amazing. But now Mithy is caught out. He's on the wrong side of this fight. Niels can buy him a bit of time, but here comes FLICKR, here comes Bang. Good
Great
flash by Mithy. But now Amazing's on the wrong side of this fight. FLICKR's found him. FLICKR's got the damage. FLICKR gets the kill. A big mistake from Amazing.
Yeah, Amazing trying to collapse, but his mid laner Pekka was still clearing that wave there. Got a little greedy. Really solid kick move there, isolating Wolf, but that was just...
I think that was Amazing getting greedy, not Peke.
No, definitely Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing's fault there. Just
their bottom lane
his
had
mid lane to
escaped.
come, but just gotta communicate.
And for every 2 good plays Origen makes, they make a bad one. SKT not as prone to those kinds of mistakes. See that fight again.
This was so good though. The burst from the Brutalizer Lee Sin, full combo right there from Amazing. And they're able to get out after it. Mithy's going to flash the rocket jump here.
And then right here, Lulu just walks back up to the lane. Amazing's still going down.
Probably just a little bit error in his communication. He sees Pekka start the pathing. Usually then you extrapolate, well, in 10 seconds he can be there. I can bait FLICKR, another shield, EQ to slow him down. Maybe we can collapse, but I'll stem a dragon. And that's what Origen generally have been like. Really solid plays, a couple of nice ones in a row, but then they release the pressure. You can't choke somebody out if you give him some time to breathe every 5 seconds for every 30 seconds you choke them, because eventually you're not gonna pass out. Whereas SKT, they'll just keep choking you and eventually you'll pass out.
And this is going to be the next attempt for this one. Marin has popped ulti, but with no minion wave there. Amazing, afraid of taking aggro. Does take a couple of harpoons to the backside, and Marin navigates away from the 1v2. Now Mithy attacked by Bengi, and the Rumble's close by. Red buff is on, so Mithy slowed down. He's getting more and more damage, more and more health is gone, and a smite kills him off. Huge misplay, and now the fight continues. Peke also limps in. He shouldn't have. He goes down, 2 for 0. Bot lane turret dead as well, and it's getting worse.
Another dive here potentially on the hands of SKT. Really surprised that finished that part later, because FLICKR wants more.
He's gonna get more. Bengi's got aggro, Marin's got the damage. Shenel to make sure it's all fine and dandy, even though he's not at the tournament, and a double kill for Marin.
Yeah, I'm surprised Mithy didn't opt to take the Scuttle Taxi home. Just W to the Scuttle Crab, then walk away, but he probably was afraid of a collapse there from FLICKR, but...
It felt to me like they were trying to bait, because he didn't immediately headbutt Rek'Sai away or anything there. So I think that Origen were trying to bait that in, and they thought he was alone for some reason.
Not the case, and it's now a wide open game. SKT up nearly 4,000 gold already 17 minutes in. The games are getting worse and worse for Origen fans here. No turrets, no dragons. Very little to say for these guys.
Yeah, SKT they just capitalize so well off certain like minor, mistakes. Mithy basing in the enemy jungle, getting stopped, and then they want to turn that around. Just didn't quite get it, and really good roll from FLICKR. FLICKR right now pulling ahead in this Lulu matchup already.
Forcing the flash away now. Amazing looking for the play, but Ghost makes him run pretty fast. FLICKR knocked back towards the turret. A great insect by Amazing, and it does become a kill. Again, good plays can happen for Origen, but they keep letting up the pressure.
Yeah, I really like Amazing's Lee Sin though. This is exactly what they needed. Some early ganks, some creative plays. He's simply perfect execution on that kick flash into SKT, predicting it with the Q2. Probably wanted to see that more in game 1 and 2.
Meanwhile, they're able to gain an opening here. First turret down on bottom lane, and Soaz has presence on top side. So he's pushing in a minion wave himself. They just need to avoid confrontation in the middle of the map. Everybody's on the way top side, so Bengi's now the one who has to run away.
And he's going to. Bit of a Q there, not going to mean much from Soaz, who is going towards Frozen Mallet, so this Gnar slow machine will come out at some point. But Peke forced away by FLICKR, the 1v1 lane. The pressure from this Rise, who's still scaling up, is going to mean mid lane outer could die soon. Here comes the teleports. Peke is back in action. Wolf taunts a little bit far, flashes as well. Now can the team catch back up? Niels with popped ulti. Matthew's coming around. Here's the auto attacks. And that's going to be the kill picked up. Nice one for Origen. 5 to 6 in kills. Now will they find more? A massive knockup by Mithy, and now forced to run backwards. He's already popped his own ult. Couple of heals come through, but FLICKR's back in action. Here's the equalizer to cut off the retreat, and Mithy will be an easy kill to pick up. Marin's on a rampage, and Bang is on the chase.
And this, for me, is one of the most impressive traits that SKT have. They manage to very often turn around a bad situation into at least an even, if not a good one. They get 4v5, they still go for this fight now. Bengi canceling Amazing.
And they're gonna get that second kill. You said as good or better, and it's gonna be better. Now Niels forced to run away, flashing under his own turbo. FLICKR says no thank you, I want this kill anyway. Make that 3 picked up. Now Soaz joins the fight and says, hey guys, make it 4. And they make it so. There we go. Massive lead SKT.
The way they juggle the tower aggro, re-engage, and turn around fights seemingly so easily 4v5, it just reminds me of that one push they did at the last time they were at Worlds 2, taking like 3 towers, 1 inhibitor at 40-minute mark. They're just so good at this game.
They are, and especially the point you bring up about turning around a bad situation into a winning situation is so impressive, because so many teams, it's basic human nature to fall into the sunk cost fallacy, where you lose someone or someone on your team gets caught and you feel like you have to make up something in the situation because you've already invested something there, yet it's a low percentage play for you and you end up making it anyway. But SKT make those based off of the cooldowns already used by the enemies. Here's the continued chase here.
I mean, just complete commitment. Shen ulti pop to make sure they're all there to lock him down in time.
But look how calm and collected they play this too. Just perfect papping. Bang here finds Xpeka, so that's what we didn't see on our screens. He drops out, early some tower aggro, Soaz drops eventually, then they take the tower. Cool, calm and collected. And SKT, they're just so good at waiting for some of you guys to drop, then win a 4v5. They've done it so many times. Or if you're doing Dragon, they pick one of you off.
It's actually pretty funny too, because that's something that like con men will use, and when trying to pull off a long con, that's a part of human psychology. They'll get you to invest a little bit before going off on the final take.
Take a loss so they can win more in the end.
They get the mark to feel like they have ownership of the situation.
SKT, great hustlers in this
Getting
one.
dark here.
Up 5,000 gold, taking Origen for all their worth.
Me of that.
And now FLICKR is in. Soaz has no chance getting away. Hex Drinker, you barely even saw it. FLICKR missed the skill shot, but gets the solo kill all the same. And it might be more.
Well, Amazing's gonna be on the run here. Bengi's Tremor Sense does see Mithy as well.
And at this point, Origen's composition had a clear purpose and goal. Get Soaz ahead, 4-1 split push, then eventually go back into team fight. Soaz couldn't get ahead. First gang got sniffed out, then Bengi came back with a beautiful return gang, dropping the pink ward on the way out. That was one element of Origen's team coming forward, and then they couldn't make the other part work. The 4-man squad couldn't find an opening, couldn't find an on-the-hunt rush. Now SKT himself in prime position to take yet another win without dropping a single game.
It's impressive what SKT are accomplishing here at Worlds, but it's also impressive what Origen have accomplished this year. This is a team, well, let's see if Soaz can actually get a kill on FLICKR here. Seems
Accomplishment.
unlikely. Let's see.
Accomplishments, killing FLICKR has happened once so far this game. They might double it. Soaz chasing way too far.
I'll take Wolf instead.
All right, well, less valuable kill.
Wolf is sacrificing his KDA.
But back to what Origen
SKT.
have accomplished this year. They've had such a crazy run. This is a team that was just formed. Peke put it back together. They worked their way all the way through the Challenger Series with goals of just being a mid-tier EU LCS team. And they've made it all the way to semifinals at Worlds.
Absolutely incredible. Definitely an amazing setup here by Origen. And a good run all said and done. SKT, of course, had won a world championship in their rookie year as a team, so hard to beat that. And SKT looking for their second, actually, right here. Looking for their 12th win, their ticket into the grand final. The final without dropping a single game.
It's so hard right now for Origen to really come back. They're choked out of vision in their jungle. Baron's about to go down. They have almost no winning plays. And the few plays that they have where they get a tiny bit of advantage, they just invest too much. As we saw earlier, they get a kill on Wolf, but again, they can't capitalize on objective. Why not? Because SKT is always pushing you. Well, then you go for a fight. You just use too many ultis to kill the support. SKT will turn that around and use 4v5, so Origen pretty much drowning right now because there's so much vision that the only fights SKT is willing to take is winning fights right now.
Pretty much every fight SKT could take would be a winning one. They're up 8,000 gold now in this game. Looking to close out the series 3-0. It's only 24 minutes in and the lead is already this huge.
Origen just setting up the reverse sweep story to be that much more impressive, I feel.
And
I'm hoping it's more than one best of 5, right? They're going to reverse sweep series.
Well,
next year.
SKT are closing the loop. Pressing in on all three. Oh, here comes a OG.
Ooh, nice kick back. Does knock up 2. A bit of damage from Soaz, but an equalizer.
They got Marin.
Doesn't mitch much. Now Marin. Zonia's Hourglass takes a bit of damage. A nice pick off there. A missed equalizer and a good capitalized by Origen.
Yeah, where's FLICKR in all this? He's I think FLICKR just took a red buff.
Not even that. He was just in the top side. They were
They were split pushing. They were pushing all 3 lanes. Now they collapse into mid though, baroned up minions, and they take it.
Oh! Whoa! The long con 4v5. How about we push mid? How about they pick off Mithy as well? Luluwalt means nothing. More flash to run away, and Origen routed out of their own base in a fight that again started 4v5. And FLICKR finds another one. Soaz will try to reach Meganar and buy a bit more time for himself, but look at Bang. Look at his damage. Bang, he'll pull aggro. There's the flash. There's the kill. How about a couple more? Amazing goes down, and Bang refuses to be stopped there. 6-0-1 in this game. Bangy running away, thankful that minions are there to pull the aggro. And now a teleport comes in. Marin wants Soaz, and he's gonna find him. Look at the flame spitter dealing all the damage, burning his little top hat to the ground, and Soaz will die. Potentially his last death of the World Championship as SKT are already on to the Nexus turrets. Niels goes down, 4-3, but it's not going to be enough. FLICKR wreaking havoc inside the base. There's turret number 2. There's no stopping him now. It's time for SKT to make it to the finals undefeated. No team has ever made it to the final without dropping a game. SKT could be not only the first double world champion, but the first undefeated world champion in history of the League World Championship.
Yeah, this match kind of embodied how a lot of people saw this entire series play out. Quick-paced game where just SKT outmatches, outmaneuvers Origen, but we can't forget, especially game 1, just Origen doing a lot of great things, giving SKT a run for their money, but now, especially in game 3, you saw the mental aspect way into, not on Niels, he's always smiling.
The mental aspect is key here. It's so taxing to play against a team like SKTelecom that are constantly pushing 3 lanes, constantly making cross-map plays. They force you to reevaluate the game state every couple of minutes and continue to pose these very difficult questions to you and force their enemy team to make decisions all game long. Eventually make a wrong choice and they punish you heavily for it.
You can hear the chants of SKT coming out from the crowd. You know these Belgian fans wanted their European team to win, but recognizing greatness where it's due.
I mean, if there's one team to lose against as Origen in your first World Championship in the history of the team, because it only got created now, it may as well be a team that very well likely to win the entire tournament undefeated.
I mean, think about Origen as a team. The only best of fives they've ever lost as a team, short as the history may be, SKTelecom T1 in the finals now, and Fnatic in the European LCS final, who may also be finals bound. That's a very, very good first year for Origen. And this is the first year of professional play for Niels, that AD carry, so he's got room to go. Peke, of course, Season 1 world champion, still has what it takes to play on this stage, but that will be the end of the year for these guys.
And it just shows you also just what teamwork and shot calling and just progression as a team can do, because these 4 members all, when they were playing Easy, when at least were all on SKT1S, back when SKT1K was like the team, so yeah, a lot of these members just getting under the wings of Coma with the good infrastructure there in the SKTelecom environment. Bang and Wolf significantly better, FLICKR being FLICKR obviously, and yeah, Martin really showing what a phenomenal top laner, maybe the best player here at Worlds.
I think he's making the case for himself as a total package in terms of his ability to 1v1, win his lanes, and then what he brings to the team as the captain, as the primary shot caller. Martin is absolutely incredible.
I'm still waiting to even dive into the champion ocean of FLICKR as well. He keeps playing Rise here and showing that over and over and having good performances, but he hasn't even had to delve too deep into the bag yet.
Usually if one guy plays champion over and over, we just like, narrow champion pool. But FLICKR, no. He played OAF, he can play anything. So interesting comparison right there.
I want to bring up actually a storyline that happened at All-Stars like a year and a half ago, back in Season 3. It was, I forget if it was Rapid Star or Ambition, but they played a bunch of Kennen games to make everyone think he wanted to play a lot of Kennen. And then by the end, it was like, it was just a fake, but I mean, I actually like Kennen now.
It was something they picked up at the tournament. And he was, and then
he's like, I want everyone to believe that when I get to the final, I really want to play Kennen to pull a ban. Like, this is theoretically like what FLICKR's Rise is. Like, it's not even his main champion. He's not even his final form right now. And FLICKR's like, no, I'm just this good. And he has been absolutely amazing. One game in this series, great performance. I mean, SKT is a team. You can't say enough about how good these guys are.
Yep.
I think we covered it.
Yeah, we covered it. I mean, I feel like I'm starting to repeat myself, but yeah.
Yeah.
One of the just impressive things, and we mentioned this a little before in the cast, is just these little things when you watch teams in the mid game in their base, pathing out of the base, zero hesitation. They always just go straight where they end up being. A lot of these teams that are still struggling shot calling, they're like, yeah, I'll go top. Oh no, should I go bot? Okay, I'll go bot then. Yeah, I need some help, jungler. Can you put some vision? SKT, this is all pre-planned like a minute or a minute and a half in advance. Usually when you see them play, we saw Origen put them to the test and punish them a little bit for some overextending, but so rarely do you see Wolf move into one lane and be like, this is actually the wrong place of the map. And as a support, that is just so impressive to watch because it is so incredibly hard to do.
Is it because every decision they make is the right decision, or just because they're like, you know what, I'm never changing my mind. Once I decide to go here, I'm never going to change my mind.
I don't know, man. I'm not questioning SKT. Probably the right decision.
As a macro team, they're absolutely amazing. We saw at least glimmers of weakness, things that teams could pick apart in the early game. First Blood and actually a couple of games here.
So I feel like they were calculated
Origen.
weakness, right?
Sure.
You're going to expose yourself when you play high pressure like that. But Origen did do a good job in game 1, punishing them for those moments.
But the punishment wasn't enough. SKT always able to come back. The 3-0 win, absolutely deserved by these guys, and they are into the finals. And now we have Shock standing by with one of our first finalists for the 2015 World Championship. Let's take a look.
Thank you so much, guys. Standing by here with Bang after making it to the finals with his team SKT and a 3-0 over Origen. Bang, I want to start by talking about the series a little bit, and especially that matchup in the bottom lane against Niels, who is a very promising AD carry out of Europe. What did you make of the matchup? How do you think he did as well?
뱅 선수 우선 결승 진출 축하드리고요. 이번 경기의 전체적인 소감이랑 특히 이제 니엘 선수와의 원딜 맞대결을 좀 얘기해 주세요.
일단 저희가 8강에서 이기고 4강을 준비하면서 팀 분석을 했는데 오지에서 니엘 선수가 가장 잘한다는 평이 많아서 제가 좀 저만 잘하면 이길 것 같다고 생각했는데 이번 매치에서 좀 니엘 선수가 아주 생각보다 더 잘하더라고요. 그래서 좀 당황했는데 팀이 잘해줘서 쉽게 이긴 것 같아요.
So as we prepare for the semifinals, when we analyzed Origen's games, we thought that Niels was their best player. So I thought as long as I play good, then we should be able to win. But he played much better than I expected. But I think our team played very well, and we were able to get the win.
Well, of course, you guys pulled out the win 3-0. You also had a fantastic game. You're 80 carry that's had fantastic statistics throughout the tournament, but you're maybe not as flashy as a Niels or maybe an Imp or a Deft. How do you reflect on your own play style and why is it working within this team?
그 뱅 선수 이번 대회 내내 엄청난 경기 기록들, 뭐 KDA 같은 것들을 지금 보여주고 있는데,
예.
근데 이제 상대한 니일 선수나 뭐 이전에 데프트 선수, 임프 선수에 비해서 좀 덜 화려하거나 덜 주목받고 있는 지금 포지션인데,
예.
그럼 뱅 선수는 본인의 이런 플레이 스타일에 대해 어떻게 생각하시나요?
일단 저희 팀 자체가 모든 라인이 좀 강력한 팀이어서 제가 이제 맡은 역할이 이제 안 죽는 역할인데, 그러니까 제가 마지막까지 죽지만 않으면 저희 팀 언제든지 이길 수 있다는 그런 팀 방침 때문에 일단 처음에 탑 미드의 중심으로 힘을 실어주다 보니까, 근데 또 워낙 잘해서 거기서 게임이 자주 끝나서 제가 주목을 못 받게 되는 점이 많은 것 같아요. 경기 중에. 예.
So I think our team in general, we have a lot of strong carry players, and like our team tend to focus on top and mid in the early game, and also our team color fits my style of like not dying. So I just try not to die, and if I survive until the end of the team fight, I think our team can win the game. So I think that's why I tend to get less attention from the fans and players.
Well, it definitely has caught our attention that you've been doing well. Your entire team undefeated so far, going into the finals as SKT. So let's talk about those possible finals. SKT versus KOO or Fnatic. Who would you like to play and why? And who do you think it's going to be and why?
그럼 이제 SKT는 이제 무패로 결승전에 진출하게 됐는데, 내일 열린 경기에서 푸나틱과 쿠 경기에서 누가 이길 것 같은지, 그리고 왜 설명해 주시고요. 그리고 마지막으로는 누가 또 붙고 싶은지, 또 그 왜 그런지 설명해 주세요.
일단 저희가 유럽에 와서 이제 가장 스크림을 많이 한 팀이 푸나틱이거든요. 그래서 그리고 유럽이 이제 푸나틱의 그 고향이기도 하고 해서 그냥 푸나틱이랑 많이 연습도 했고, 그래서 푸나틱이 이겨서 저희랑, 그러니까 한국 대 유럽으로 했으면 좋겠어요. 그래야 더 재밌을 것 같아요.
I think it would be more interesting if Fnatic advanced to the finals. After we came to Europe, we scrimmed with Fnatic the most, and so I think it would be much more interesting to see a European team at the finals, and that should be Fnatic.
Okay, well, we'll see if that happens tomorrow. But for now, that's a 3-0 for SKT. Congratulations. Fantastic match once again for SKT. They're going through to the finals, and I'd love to know what our guys at the analyst desk have to say about that.
Thank you, Shocks. Congratulations are in order indeed for the 3-0, extending their undefeated run here at Worlds so far and re-qualifying for the finals. I mean, I don't really know where to begin. Freak mentioned it in the post-game there. That was the style of game that we expect to see out of SKT, that we are used to seeing out of SKT. A very explosive game with a 4K gold lead at 17 minutes.
Well, a lot of that has to do with the way that SKT plays around FLICKR when he comes back into the game. Even if he's on one of these big scaling mages, he is so willing to attack you, to go all in. And you have to play around that. You have to assume that he's going to do that. He sucks in so much jungle pressure. And even then, he was getting a 12-minute Rod of Ages on top of his tier, and he's scaling so well into the late game that it becomes really, really hard to deal with him because of the amount of force he exerts at the center of the map.
See, and that's why I liked FLICKR over EasyHoon in this matchup. Is like the fights just happened a lot, and you could watch FLICKR like, yeah, he's just trading flash for flash mid because he has Ghost as a backup. Like, he put so much pressure on the game just by playing Ryze, who's technically a scaler, but who hits power spikes early. So that's where FLICKR can actually abuse things.
What a scaling champion.
It's so funny
Super
because that team composition by Origen was actually very similar to a team composition SKT ran a lot of in the LCK, and that basically has to win by 30 minutes. It lost at 27 minutes to SKT's scaling composition, and I think as we move on in this tournament, if SKT 3-0s the finals, I think they are indisputably the greatest team of all time.
That's a bold claim. We'll have to wait until the finals to see whether or not that claim holds true. Continuing, though, along this game just briefly, Origen, things did fall apart relatively quick for them, but we saw them make the adjustments that we had asked them to make. Switch champion picks up. We saw the Lee Sin come out. We saw Gnar, a slightly more passive, it's not quite Malphite, but slightly more passive and more straightforward champion, and yet things still didn't come together.
Well, the key around, like Jet just mentioned.
Tilt.
Yeah, the tilt was a big issue, I think. But the key around running the Sivir-Lulu combination, so you play it like a pick composition. You use the massive amount of speed that you have to set up around a dragon, play with vision, and then make picks. You will never, ever should be 5v5ing with that because you have such low damage in a team fight. And they never really got the chance to actually create the picks, to control the vision. And as soon as that happens, then you're going to lose that game very quickly.
And I think, like you were saying, they kind of changed their style. I think their style was the same. They still last pick their top. And I think the only reason we saw so much more focused top was because of Mithy. I think Mithy actually changed the game purposely. He was like, I'm not staying bot lane anymore. Like, Bang is not going to let me punish him anymore. Like, I'm just, screw this. I'm leaving this lane. So he ends up going top with Amazing, and they hold hands, and they get kills on Mar, and they put a lot of pressure on the map. And I think that is kind of the adaptation you need to make during game 1, during game 2 kind of thing, instead of like building up until game 3, like, nah, we'll try it now.
Yeah, and I think it really showed both games 2 and 3 were completely changed with a disastrous move top lane by our team. That was SKT being prepared, but it was Origen committing to the play and failing.
Well, we'll get back to the series in just a moment, but for now, we're going to send it over to Shox, who is standing by with 2 members of Origen.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Standing by with Xpeke and Mithy. And I mean, first off, I really want to thank you guys for talking to me because I know that it can't be easy in a moment like this. So maybe let's start by the series and get that out of the way because I feel like you're going to VOD review a lot of that. And especially maybe what happened between game 1, which was so close, and then what happened after, if you could reflect right now.
I was not listening to everything. I'm just going to say something else besides the interview. Don't care much. I just want to say that it has been a really, really long year, to be honest. We have started from pretty much Challenger Series, and that I'm really, really happy that this is the team I ended up with because each player from us is a different world, and I'm really happy that we all work or put our best to work together, and from mistakes we try to improve, and I'm really happy from all of them, Mithy, Niels, Amazing, and Solas. So thank you very much, guys.
Well,
To answer your question, I think that SKT is really good at punishing mistakes, and I think that the thing that failed on all games, even the first game, it was, I think at some point, shot calling was not perfect, and there was one mistake that was made, and they just capitalized on that mistake, and we were not really able to accept our mistake and like give someone up, but instead like just committed everyone to a mistake, and then they just snowballed out of it.
yeah, a very clear read of that game and that series, but I want to travel back to what Peke said. I wanted to get the series out of the way because in the end, what is to be remembered here is the fact that you guys were in Challenger a couple of months ago. You started this new project. Mithy came back to the professional scene. Just tell me about your year so far, because semi-final, you go out versus SKT, but you go out with a bang.
Yeah, so personally, I have been living a dream since we made it to playoffs. My main goal for this year was to get playoffs of the summer split, and then realistically, I thought like, okay, we're probably like gonna lose against H2K since they have been more established, and it just went on getting better and better and better, and I thought we were gonna never make it out of group stage. We did make it out of group stage, made it past quarterfinals, and even though I'm happy of how far we've made it, I'm still sad about how the way we lost, because I think SKT is very strong, but I still think we could have put up a better fight if just small things, you know. I don't know. I'm just a bit sad.
Of course, totally understandable. Well, of course, as said, once again, this has only been your first half a year with this formation. Peke, anything you want to say as final words of you for closing off Worlds?
No, pretty much. That was it. Thanks to the teammates, and well, thanks to all the fans here that go crazy over us. Yeah, thanks. Well, Fnatic is still there, so let's cheer for them, and let's hope they make you proud. So good luck to Fnatic.
Some of that EU pride. Thank you guys so much for talking to me. That was it from Origen. We're going to go back to the guys at the desk.
Thank you, Shock. Something that should not be forgotten is the journey that this team took. Mithy mentioned it. They went into the summer split hoping to make it to the playoffs, let alone finish second in the playoffs, let alone run through the gauntlet, make it to Worlds, and then end up being a top 4 team in the world in all the 6-month time. That is quite an accomplishment by these gentlemen.
Yeah, pretty damn impressive from Origen to go from that place to get here. And then, honestly, what Mithy said was pretty true. They played SKT tough in a lot of ways. They pushed SKT, even though they got 3-0'd, they pushed SKT harder than any other team that has played SKT up until this point.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see more of Game 1, though. Like, the way Origen played Game 1, I feel like was Origen maybe like 85, 90%. The rest of the games, I think they're like sub 50% effort-wise. And I wish we saw Origen stay at that 90% level, where they keep putting SKT on the back like repeatedly, and the games like aren't, really snowballing from SKT's side.
I mean, I just disagree with you because I think that when we talk about Origen, then we have to compare it to how they were playing and how they were getting leads throughout this entire tournament. So they were winning most of their games up until today, yet they were still below average in terms of gold. So, in fact, I think Origen played very well, and they overperformed my expectations in Game 1. Game 2 and 3 is more of what I expected to see from the team.
Yeah, things started to fall in line, but I think it's a very valid point. We had this trend developed by Origen where they were eking out these very long, enduring victories, and then they came out swinging here in this best of 3 and really took it to SKT. Now, I think the question then is, was anything necessarily exposed in SKT moving forward that whoever ends up facing them in the finals could learn from what Origen did?
Well, we learned that that we have a Shen support player in Wolf. That was something that he's never done professionally before, but otherwise, for the most part, I have to say no. This is FLICKR's 4th game on Rise this tournament. One game he played Olaf, another Azir, and another Lulu. So we really haven't. He's just going to keep picking Rise until somebody stops him.
Yeah.
On the Easyhoon side, surprise, he plays Azir and Oriana. So they really didn't show anything in this best of 5, and they have, I think, an entire hand of cards for the finals.
If anything, and this is coming off me saying SKT may be the greatest team of all time, here's where there might be a weakness. Mithy just said in the interview, they're so good at punishing mistakes.
Yes.
And I think that is completely how SKT plays. Even when they're losing the game, they're still having a chance to win it somehow, because the instant you make a mistake, they're going to get you. But because they are so good at that, they actually don't make many proactive plays that give themselves the advantages. And when Origen was playing passive in games 1 and 2, up until the point they made the mistake by taking initiative, the game was close. So if a team actually executes those game-winning plays, waits until 20 or 30 minutes, gets it, maybe SKT doesn't win in that sense. I'm not saying it's going to happen, Monty. You can calm down.
But
it's
see this tie? It actually is armor, and there is no weak point in it. So we got that going on.
So I hear it's actually vulnerable to brute force. Like if I had a Warhammer of some kind.
Yeah, or like 5,000 degrees of heat might melt it. I think then the question is, or what's scary about that statement really, is that you're basically asking every other team to beat SKT at their own game. Because you're saying that SKT is great at playing to a passive and standard way until the other team makes a proactive decision that is incorrect or in error, and then they capitalize on that.
I think we're getting a little theoretical here, but I think my point is you don't wait for SKT to make a mistake. You punish their passivity by making an uncounterable play.
Okay.
Right? You take the aggressive plays and execute them better than SKT.
Well, it's the weakness of playing a methodical style, is if 2 plays happen back-to-back, once the first play is done, you're setting up what you want to do. You're not really expecting any kind of guess plays or like sneak plays, kind of like how they did in Game 1 when they dove Marin again at the Tier 2 turret. They didn't really expect it. They're setting up the map for mid turret. They're setting up the map for bot turret. And then boom, they get hit top again, and they don't respond well to it because the whole time they're expecting, oh, we just lost something top. Let's go focus on the other side of the map. They won't stay top. So I think those like repeat plays are going to be really punishing, which is what Fnatic does really well. So I'm excited to see if that matchup, goes through in the finals.
Well, that's where you fall back to then the individual matchups themselves. If you're going to attack any other area of the game, you say, well, let us look at all these players individually. But again, we've seen in this series, Marin up a ridiculous amount of CS every single game, as well as a kill or two and experience of all things, right? You've seen Easyhoon just absorb all of the CS and play the team fights incredibly well. FLICKR come in, as you mentioned, his Rise play, flashing and blowing flashes on the others. And Bang, I don't know how many missed positions we saw, if any, in this series from his end.
I think Wolf is the only player that I still felt a little disappointed about, especially in that last game. He was getting caught out a little overmuch, but by the same token, it seemed like every time Wolf died, SKT would get twice as many kills in response. So can you really say it's that bad, right?
Right, that speaks to what the casters were talking about in the post game about how often SKT can find themselves a winning fight in a turnaround, right? So they lose somebody early, but they are able to turn that 4v5 around into a one trade.
Well, they're very good, and the key to them doing this is that they keep track of ultimate and ability and summoner cooldown so well. So when an enemy team will dump everything on one player, for example, in that fight on the bottom side of the mid lane in the river, they still had Rumble ult up, and they just waited for everybody on Origen to pile into a choke, and then they just hit the trigger, come in with the Rise and the AoE, and clean up the play. So when you have such great in-game communication around cooldowns, it allows you to make those kind of decisions very effectively.
Well, as we talk about all the players on SKT, there was one player that stood out in particular and was absolutely clutch in SKT's win today over Origen, picking up 17 kills in 3 games while averaging a 91 CS lead over his main opponent. Now, because of this performance, we're naming SKT's top laner, Marin, as our player of the series.
Yeah, and I think it's no coincidence that the teams that have had the top performing top laners are the teams still at Worlds. We knew the meta was coming with the champion changes. The lane swap game has been so critical. It rewards team communication as well as having strong individual players, and SKT had all of those things in this 3-0.
Yeah, there's a piece of you that wonders coming into the tournament which teams were these changes going to affect negatively and positively. And as you mentioned, for those reasons, SKT, a team that already can adapt to change pretty easily because they're veteran players who have a lot of experience. You look at Marin himself and how his mastery of the new champions that have come out, and that's the next level of it. Because there are some top players we haven't even seen pull out the Fiora and really threaten on it.
Yeah, probably you were saying something about Fiora earlier, how unless you're a master at Fiora, you just don't want to see someone playing.
Yeah, I compare Fiora top as like the Azir of mid lane. It's like a lot of people can play it like at a pretty meh level, but the second you see someone play it at like 90%, they look awful. They don't get the right vitals. They like repost weird skills like auto attacks. Like who cares about that thing? So when you see a really good Fiora player, it's really obvious. It's not something you just like brush over and you're like, oh yeah, everyone's like that. Same thing with Azir. So I really like those two kind of schools of champion, but I wish there was more like that in the game right now.
Well, that's a note for the designers then. Probably would like more of that. But with this champion, since we have determined that Fiora is such a power pick, we saw Smeb go nuts on it 4 games in a row. We've seen Marin with great showings on it. We haven't yet seen a foolproof solution to the champion in terms of a way to fight against it. And again, this returns us to pick and bans where we say there's so many power picks. How do you deal with it? There's still nothing out there yet.
Yeah, here is one problem about some of the recent champions. Like Fiora, for instance, we think what are the weaknesses of Fiora? Well-placed crowd control. But a very well-played Fiora solves her own counterplay because she can repost the crowd control. That's why a well-played Fiora can win almost any matchup in her current iteration. So it adds to the list of champions that I think you have to trade. And that's literally all you got to do. Unless you're playing Fiora well, I think you have a hard time winning Worlds.
All right, well, one more time, we are going to head over to Shox, who is joined by one of the mid lane threats for SKT.
Thank you very much, Dash. Joined here by EasyHoon also for a word after that series and SKT making it to the finals. EasyHoon, you've got a lot more games under your belt now, and you, of course, were started as the famous substitute for FLICKR, but you've definitely proven your worth, and we've heard before that you really want to prove what you could do for SKT as a team. How do you think you've done in this matchup specifically and throughout the tournament?
그 이진 선수 이제 이전에는 페이커 선수의 후보 선수로 많이 알려졌지만 이번 4강도 그렇고 이번 대회 동안 많은 경기를 소화함으로써 점점 본인 가치를 입증하고 계신데 이전 인터뷰에서 이진 선수가 본인 가치를 더욱더 SKT에서 알리고 싶다고 얘기하셨는데 이번 4강전 그리고 이번 대회를 통해서 그걸 좀 달성하신 것 같은지 말씀해 주세요.
네, 제가 들어야 되나요?
아니 너 안
글쎄요, 제가 개인적인 목표가 그 전에 조별 예선 때 저는 제가 나오는 경기를 모두 좀 완벽하게 수행한 거라고 말했는데 솔직히 오늘 경기까지 놓고 봐도 목표를 달성했다고 보진 않아요. 한 70% 정도는 만족하고 있긴 하지만.
So my previous goal during the group stage was to win every single game I play in. So far, even though I am fulfilling that goal, I think I'm up to like 70% of my goal.
Okay, well, you still have a final to play. It will be versus Fnatic or Coup. We heard from Bang that he thinks that Fnatic might be the one you end up playing against. What would you think would be a better matchup for you personally?
Or maybe Coup will be better, because we have known about Coup better than Fnatic. So yeah, I want to match with Coup.
Okie dokie, well, thank you so much. Congratulations for making it to the finals with SKT undefeated so far. Back to you guys, Dash.
I think that's the one last thing we have to consider with this team moving forward to the finals, is their ability to play both of these players. And they've shown in this series here, they can do it, and they can do it without losing a step. If anything, they gained a step, right? And they finished that third game out even faster. So a huge threat that teams are going to have to take into account when they go up against them in the finals.
I think so. I also hope SKT just starts FLICKR in the final, because I do feel like it just gives them a stronger overall play. If they're really trying to pull some mind games, I think you put in Easy Hoon for game one, and if you lose it, you play FLICKR for the rest of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't play Easy Hoon. He's a great player, but it's FLICKR we're talking about. I think that you have SKTelecom has so successfully shown nothing about FLICKR just by having him play old champions and bringing out this Rise mid pick that he has just crushed everybody on. So, you know, play FLICKR. You've saved him and you've kept everything under a veil for the entire tournament so far. This is where you get the big reveal. You pull the rabbit out of the hat and everybody is amazed.
It's just a giant mystery at this point, and we have only a week to wait until it is unveiled. Earlier, we opened up our analysts to you, so let's check in and see what you wanted to ask the desk. From CJX, what is the best aspect of each region's meta that you've seen on display at Worlds? Who wants to take that one first?
I think that what we've seen from Europe is really a dominance of the European style of lane swapping at the World Championship. The way that you lane swap, fast push a tower 3, keep your jungler jungling, is something that was not done in Korea, and I can say that. And yet, as soon as we see after those boot camps and all the EU teams go over, that's the one that we see most frequently. So they had figured out something that was very effective, and I really like seeing that everyone else has adopted it and seems to think that's the best style.
Can you take credit for the European lane swapping, Prawley?
Yes, I did all of it. No.
It's actually the Prawley lane swap.
Yeah, it's actually the Prawley. That's what you call it. No, we copied a bit of it and we changed a bit of it. But the best part is, yeah, when Europe went over to Korea, Koreans did steal ours, but they started doing their own like cheese gimmicks inside of this lane swap, which is really, really nice. We haven't seen it yet. Tomorrow, I hope we start seeing the Coup's iteration of lane swaps, because it's going to be different than the way Fnatic does it and the way Origen does it. So I'm really excited that the lane swap did start in Europe, I think, but it's still evolving through Korea and through Worlds.
Yeah.
For you, Jet?
I'm going to talk about Korea, and I think their ability to channel farm onto their top laners has been better than any other region. And this was the case before Worlds even hit. They have adapted within the lane swap meta to find ways to get even more farm into top laners. But before Worlds, the Korean top laners had higher gold share, more experience at 15 minutes than under other regions by far, and were generally already starting to play the farm heavy style big top laners, and it just was shown even more powerfully at Worlds.
Well, and what happened too is we ended up with 3 Korean teams who have incredibly powerful carry top laners, right? And so when the meta just started to tilt on like 5.16 and 5.18 even more into the top lane style, I think it gave the Korean teams a very large advantage because they already were playing, these specific teams were already playing this style. If we'd seen a team like Jin Air, that really wouldn't be the case, right? So it's just these specific players, these specific teams.
Definitely fell as an advantage towards them. Next up, we have Trey1507, who says, what do you think will be the difference between these semifinal teams since they are all so closely matched? Obviously, we just saw SKT and Origen stack up against each other, but this is a nice transition to tomorrow's best of 5 series where we'll see Fnatic go up against Coup. Probably start us off. Thoughts on that
I don't know. The Coup Fnatic. I feel like there's going to be a lot of blood. A lot of blood will be spilled, and there will be no wards to be found at all. So I really hope that's something that's been fixed a bit, is there's going to be a lot more calculated plays tomorrow. I don't expect it, but I'd like to see that kind of change. And I think that's what's going to make the final be really nice, because SKT is really methodical. They do fight around vision. So going against 2 teams that don't really focus around that, I think is going to be a nice little change.
Something we saw from Fnatic against EDG is making very risky yet decisive decisions, and it ended up working for them a lot of times around the Baron area. What we saw from Coup in the semifinals was actually they let themselves get pushed around a lot early game by KT, put up very defensive wards, even within their own jungle, not even river defensive wards, and then reacted when a team overcommitted. So I think because of that dichotomy, we're going to see, like Probably said, really bloody games. When Fnatic engages, KOO will be ready, and they will fight.
I'm really excited for this matchup. I think it's just incredibly even. And I guess what I want to see is more of the KOO that we saw in the group stage with that bloodiness. I'm with you guys, but some more presence in the early game so that we get a lot of these fights and we don't just see the more passive, reactive play style of the KOO Tigers. I also am excited to see what KOO has because they have been very creative traditionally, and I think they will have some weird picks for tomorrow, some weird team compositions, because a lot of times the success of KOO has been born out of their innovation and their willingness to play off the meta, as opposed to having super, super strong teammates across the board.
Well, it'll only be 24 hours until we find any of that out. Now, with SKTelecom's victory in today's semifinal, we are one step closer to filling out our bracket and naming a champion. SKTelecom T1 has claimed the first seat in the 2015 finals, where they'll face the winner of tomorrow's clash between Europe's Fnatic and the KOO Tigers of Korea. And our pregame coverage of that best-of-5 series begins tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. sharp. And since Central European summertime ends tonight, that's 6:30 a.m. Pacific. So change your clocks. Until then, we need to sign off and set our clocks back. But stick around, because in 15 minutes, myself, Kobe, and Monte Cristo will be here to look at all of today's action in a brand new Worlds Tonight. On behalf of myself and everyone working hard to bring you the 2015 League of Legends World Championship, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here at Brussels Expo tomorrow.
And here we go, game 1 of the semifinals. South Korea's SKTelecom T1 versus Europe's Origen. Running away through the wards, Pod Summoner teleport. It's a god! But the Slicing Maelstrom buying a lot of time. 1-for-1 in this fight. Mithy gets a knockup onto Bang, and look at the damage output! Undefeated still in the World Championship. Peke, meanwhile, turned into an egg, and the push comes in. Oh. But Amazing is here! The two-man knockup trades onto Bang. SKT 1 game away from their second World Championship final. Bangy's got aggro, Marin's got the damage. Channel to make sure it's all fine and dandy, even though he's not at the tournament, and a double kill from Marin. Flashing under his own turbo, FLICKR says, no thank you, I want this kill anyway. Make that 3 picked up. Oh, the long con 4v5. How about we push mid? How about they pick off Mithy